the power of mindfulness and emotional control in daily life. In today's fast-paced world, where stress, distractions, and overwhelming emotions are a constant challenge, the ability to remain calm and focused has become more valuable than ever. Many people find themselves trapped in a cycle of emotional reactivity, where impulsive responses to situations often lead to regret, misunderstandings, and unnecessary suffering. However, by practicing mindfulness and emotional control, we can cultivate a deep sense of inner peace, navigate life's challenges with clarity, and improve our overall well-being. Rooted in Buddhist philosophy, mindfulness teaches us to focus on the present moment, preventing our minds from being dominated by past regrets or future anxieties. This shift in perspective not only enhances emotional resilience but also leads to a more fulfilling and meaningful life. One of the fundamental principles of Buddhist wisdom is the idea that our mind shapes our experiences. As the Buddha once said, "The mind is everything. What you think, you become." This profound statement emphasizes the power of thoughts in determining our emotional state and, ultimately, the course of our lives. When we allow negative emotions like anger, resentment, or fear to take control, we give them the power to dictate our reality. On the other hand, by mastering our thoughts and emotions, we can cultivate a sense of peace that remains unshaken despite external circumstances. Mindfulness is more than just a philosophical concept. It is a disciplined practice that requires conscious effort. At its core, mindfulness involves observing thoughts and emotions without immediate reaction or judgment. Instead of being consumed by a fleeting emotion, we learn to acknowledge it, understand its origins, and let it pass without attachment. This ability to pause and reflect creates a space between stimulus and response, allowing us to choose how we react rather than being controlled by our impulses. For example, imagine you are in a stressful situation at work. A colleague criticizes your idea in a meeting, and your initial reaction might be frustration or even anger. Without mindfulness, you might react defensively, leading to conflict or tension. However, if you practice mindfulness, you would take a deep breath, acknowledge the emotion, and analyze the situation with a clear mind. Perhaps the criticism was not personal but simply a different perspective. By remaining calm and composed, you can respond thoughtfully, fostering constructive dialogue instead of confrontation. The challenge of emotional control lies in our natural attachment to validation, approval, and fairness. We often take others' words or actions personally, interpreting them as reflections of our worth rather than recognizing that they stem from the other person's perspective, struggles, or biases. By detaching from the need for constant approval, we free ourselves from emotional turmoil and regain our inner strength. Practicing mindfulness does not mean suppressing emotions or ignoring reality. Instead, it means learning to navigate emotions with wisdom and balance. Just as a river flows around obstacles rather than resisting them, we too can learn to move through life's difficulties with grace. Through consistent mindfulness practice, we cultivate a mental resilience that allows us to remain steady and unshaken even in the face of adversity. Ultimately, by embracing mindfulness and emotional control, we not only transform our own lives but also positively influence those around us. Our calmness and clarity create a ripple effect, fostering healthier relationships, better decision-making, and a deeper connection with the present moment. In doing so, we step into a life of peace, awareness, and true fulfillment. The art of self-discipline and compassion in daily life in our journey of personal growth and self-improvement. One of the greatest challenges we face is maintaining self-discipline while also fostering compassion for others. Striking this delicate balance is essential for leading a life of integrity, wisdom, and fulfillment. Buddhist philosophy teaches that we must be strict with ourselves while being tolerant of others. This principle, though seemingly simple, holds the key to cultivating resilience, improving relationships, and attaining inner peace. By holding ourselves to high standards while extending patience and understanding toward others, we create an environment that nurtures both personal progress and collective harmony. One of the core ideas behind this teaching is self-accountability. It is easy to find faults in others, criticize their mistakes, or expect them to meet our standards. Yet when it comes to ourselves, we often make excuses or justify our shortcomings. True self-discipline means taking full responsibility for our actions, habits, and growth, without shifting blame or seeking external validation. Whether it's maintaining a healthy lifestyle, managing emotions, or committing to personal goals, we must set firm expectations for ourselves and remain consistent in our efforts. Imagine a student preparing for an important exam. If they lack self-discipline, they might procrastinate, rely on last-minute cramming, and later blame external factors for poor performance. However, a disciplined student understands that their success is in their own hands. They establish a study routine, avoid distractions, and push themselves to stay committed even when it feels difficult. This level of self-control applies to every aspect of life, from work and relationships to physical health and spiritual growth. However, self-discipline should not extend into being overly critical of others. Often, when we work hard to improve ourselves, we expect the same level of dedication from those around us. We may feel frustrated when others don't share our habits, beliefs, or values. This can lead to resentment, impatience, and strained relationships. Buddhist wisdom reminds us that everyone is on their own journey. Just as a mountain climber cannot force another person to take the same path at the same speed, we cannot expect others to be at the same stage of growth as we are. Compassion for others stems from understanding that each person faces unique challenges, struggles, and limitations. Perhaps someone who seems lazy is actually battling unseen mental or emotional difficulties. Maybe a colleague who appears unreliable is dealing with personal hardships. Instead of judging or criticizing, we can choose to extend patience and encouragement, creating an atmosphere where people feel supported rather than pressured. A practical way to apply this principle is to focus on leading by example rather than imposing expectations. When people see your discipline, consistency, and positive transformation, they may feel inspired to make changes in their own lives. Instead of telling someone what they should do, demonstrate through action. If you wish for your family to adopt healthier habits, start by improving your own routine. If you want a workplace with better communication, practice being a better listener and communicator yourself. By being strict with ourselves yet tolerant of others, we cultivate a mindset of both excellence and kindness. We grow without arrogance and support others without judgment. This balance allows us to navigate life with both strength and empathy, making the journey not just one of personal success, but also of meaningful connections and shared growth. Transform everyone into a teacher. The wisdom in every interaction. Life is an endless classroom, and each person we encounter carries a lesson waiting to be learned. One of the most profound teachings of Buddhist philosophy is the idea that everyone we meet can be a teacher, whether they uplift us or challenge us. This principle shifts our mindset from one of judgment and resistance to one of curiosity, humility, and self-growth. By seeing every interaction as an opportunity to learn, we cultivate wisdom, patience, and a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. At the core of this idea is the belief that all experiences, whether pleasant or difficult, serve a purpose. The people who inspire and guide us teach us about kindness, perseverance, and wisdom. A mentor, a supportive friend, or even a kind stranger can reinforce the values we strive to embody. They remind us of the beauty of compassion, the power of knowledge, and the impact of positive actions. By observing their qualities, we can incorporate those virtues into our own lives, strengthening our character and expanding our potential. However, the most challenging yet rewarding lessons often come from those who test our patience, trigger our emotions, or seem difficult to deal with. Instead of viewing such individuals as obstacles, Buddhist wisdom encourages us to see them as mirrors, reflecting aspects of ourselves that require growth. A person who frustrates us may be revealing our lack of patience. Someone who criticizes us may be teaching us humility and resilience. A person who betrays our trust might be offering a lesson in discernment and the impermanence of relationships. When we shift our perspective from blame to introspection, we gain control over our emotions and responses, making challenges stepping stones rather than barriers. Consider a situation where a colleague constantly undermines your ideas in meetings. The natural reaction might be anger, resentment, or even retaliation. But what if, instead of reacting emotionally, you asked yourself, what can I learn from this? Perhaps this colleague is pushing you to develop stronger communication skills, to defend your ideas with more confidence, or to practice emotional control. By transforming the situation into a learning experience, you reclaim your power and cultivate inner growth. Another example can be found in personal relationships. Conflicts with family or friends often reveal deep-seated emotional patterns. A loved one's impatience might highlight our own need for understanding. A disagreement may teach us the importance of setting boundaries while remaining compassionate. Each interaction becomes a training ground for emotional intelligence, self-awareness, and inner balance. To integrate this mindset into daily life, practice mindful observation. Instead of reacting impulsively to people's actions, take a step back and ask, what lesson is being presented to me? Keep a journal of daily encounters, noting what each interaction teaches you about patience, kindness, communication, or resilience. Over time, you'll notice a shift where frustrations turn into insights, and adversaries become unexpected guides on your journey. By transforming every person into a teacher, we cultivate humility, gratitude, and an ever-expanding capacity for wisdom. The world itself becomes a vast and dynamic school, where every interaction, no matter how small, contributes to our personal and spiritual evolution. No one can hurt you unless you allow them. Mastering inner peace. One of the most powerful teachings in Buddhism is the realization that no one can truly hurt you unless you allow them to. This profound wisdom is rooted in the idea that our suffering does not come from external events themselves but from our reaction to them. People's words, actions, or judgments have no real power over us unless we give them permission to disturb our inner peace. Learning to cultivate this detachment and emotional resilience is key to living a life of freedom, strength, and deep inner tranquility. Imagine standing in the middle of a storm. The wind is howling, and rain is pouring down. Yet inside your home, you remain warm, dry, and untouched. This is what it means to protect your inner sanctuary. The world may throw negativity your way, harsh words, betrayals, disappointments, but you alone decide whether to absorb them or let them pass like a fleeting cloud in the sky. When you fully embrace this mindset, you gain control over your emotions and reactions rather than being at the mercy of others' behavior. Many of us struggle with holding on to hurt. A single insult can linger in our minds for hours, days, or even years. A betrayal can shake our trust in people, making us feel vulnerable and broken. But why do we allow these experiences to define us? The Buddha taught that suffering arises from attachment not only to people and material things but also to emotions, opinions, and self-identity. When we attach ourselves too strongly to how others perceive us, we give away our power. We let their words and actions dictate our self-worth and emotional state. A simple yet powerful way to break free from this cycle is to pause and reflect before reacting. When someone insults you, instead of immediately responding with anger or hurt, take a deep breath and ask yourself, does this truly define me? More often than not, their words reflect their own struggles, insecurities, or projections rather than an objective truth about you. By choosing not to engage with negativity, you strip it of its power over you. Another important practice is mindfulness. By training yourself to be present and aware of your emotions without being controlled by them, you develop an unshakable inner core. Meditation, deep breathing, and self-reflection are powerful tools to cultivate this state of equanimity. When you realize that peace comes from within, you no longer seek validation from the outside world. Ultimately, true strength is not about suppressing emotions but about mastering them. It's about knowing that no one has the power to harm your peace unless you hand it over to them. By reclaiming that power, you become unshakable like a mountain that remains firm despite the strongest winds. This is the path to emotional freedom, resilience, and a life untouched by unnecessary suffering. Turn envy into emulation, transforming jealousy into growth. Envy is an emotion that most people experience at some point in their lives. Seeing someone succeed in areas where we struggle can stir feelings of resentment, inadequacy, or frustration. In modern society, where social media constantly showcases the achievements of others, it is easy to fall into the trap of comparison. However, Buddhist wisdom teaches us that instead of letting envy consume us, we can use it as a tool for self-improvement. When we shift our perspective from jealousy to inspiration and emulation, we transform negative emotions into motivation, opening doors to personal growth and success. At its core, envy often arises from unfulfilled desires. When we see someone living a life we dream of, whether in wealth, relationships, career, or personal achievements, it highlights a gap between where we are and where we want to be. But rather than dwelling on feelings of lack, we should ask ourselves, what is this envy trying to teach me? Instead of seeing someone else's success as a reminder of our shortcomings, we can view it as a guidepost pointing toward what we deeply desire. The key to transforming envy into emulation lies in shifting our mindset. Instead of thinking, why them and not me, we should ask, what can I learn from them? If someone is physically fit, what habits and routines have they developed? If a person is financially successful, what mindset and work ethic have led them to that point? Instead of resenting others, observe, analyze, and apply their strategies to your own life. From a Buddhist perspective, envy is a form of attachment to an image, a status, or an outcome we believe will bring us happiness. The problem with attachment is that it breeds suffering. But when we detach from resentment and refocus on self-improvement, we reclaim our energy. By acknowledging that success is not limited to someone else's achievements do not take away from our potential, we begin to approach life with an abundance mindset rather than a scarcity one. One powerful practice to combat envy is gratitude. By appreciating what we already have, we shift our focus from what is missing to what is abundant. The more we cultivate gratitude, the less room there is for jealousy. Another effective method is self-reflection, understanding what truly matters to us rather than chasing achievements just because others have them. Not every success we admire aligns with our own path, and recognizing this helps us prioritize what is genuinely meaningful. Ultimately, turning envy into emulation is about growth, not competition. It's about learning from others, applying those lessons, and improving ourselves without resentment. When we embrace this perspective, envy loses its grip on us, and we become active participants in our own success rather than passive observers of others. By transforming jealousy into motivation, we turn comparison into inspiration and step confidently toward becoming the best version of ourselves.